So today, literally like just a couple hours ago, Marcus Stroman to the Cubs. I was a little delayed on this because I was trying to see the deals. I was watching all the news and everything about it. And holy cow, Stroman to the Cubs. And it makes me believe Jed Hoyer and the Cubs are up to something. This rebuild may not actually be a rebuild, more of a retool. And the more I look at it, I kind of think I know what the Cubs are doing, but then at the same time, I kind of think I have no idea at all. But we're going to talk about it. I hope you do enjoy it. If you do, hit that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and enjoy the content. And of course, in the comment section, let me know what you think about this signing. Let me know what you think about offseason in general. We're about to have no baseball news for quite some time. The lockout is about to happen at midnight tonight, so it's going to be a little quiet. But man, did we have a really good week right now. So let's talk about the Stroman signing. Let's talk about the Cubs. Let's get into it. Okay, 3 years, 71 million, 25 million, 25 million, 71 million, and I think there's a clause where he'll make an extra 2 million if he hits 160 innings. Either way, this is a pretty good deal. Like, this is one of those deals where it's like, okay, it's not a lot of money. And I think when you're looking at the Cubs, what they've done this offseason, it's a smart spend. It's a really smart spend. Because if you look at it, Wade Miley, 10 million. You've got Yan Gomes for 2 years, 13 million total, I believe it was. Clint Frazier on a 1-year deal. You bring in Marcus Stroman. I think they've brought in Harold Ramirez as well. Like, you look at the moves that they make, and I'm also kind of looking at the roster on the side. Not expensive moves at all. Not expensive moves at all. Like I said, Wade Miley's like 10 mil. You've got Wade Miley, Kyle Hendricks, Marcus Stroman at the top of the rotation. Potentially, there's rumors going around that they're also looking at trying to bring in another starter. And then on top of that, you still have Adbert. You have Keegan Thompson. You have Justin Steele. You have potentially Braylon Marquez, who could come in later on in the year, who could kind of fight Alec Mills. You have those guys that you can kind of chop and change to work towards the back of the rotation, and then maybe try to pick up a bullpen arm or something. And then maybe now you're starting to have a formidable starting rotation and also a bullpen. So this Marcus Stroman deal makes a lot of sense for the Cubs. He's going to give you innings. He's going to give you good innings. And on top of that, in the clubhouse, he's going to be a good leader for not just the pitchers, but the other guys that are part of the club, and also just the younger guys there. So I think this is a fantastic signing. I know you can read about the things in social media, behind the scenes, whatever it is, and you may not like the guy, but clearly something's going well with him, right? Like, people like him. A lot of people are tweeting about him, saying like, good luck, like all this stuff. Can't, like, sucks that, you know, you're not with us anymore, things like that, right? Almost made it sound like he died right there, but you know what I'm trying to say. So I really like the signing for the Cubs. It's not a crazy flashy signing. Like, no, it's not Scherzer, right? Like, it's not a deal like that. But the Cubs, unless they were planning on spending, you know, money on a Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Max Scherzer, things like that, it didn't make sense to go out and get one of those guys. So coming in, getting Marcus Stroman, it shows, and it also kind of tells me that I think this is an offseason where they're going to look to kind of pick up those other guys. Like maybe a Michael Conforto. I mean, maybe a Castellanos is in the mix. And then I don't really think it's going to happen, but possibly a Trevor Story. I know it's a lot of wishful thinking, but if you look at what the moves the Cubs have done, it makes me think that this isn't a rebuild and this is more of a retool. So let's take a look at the roster. So let's take a look at it here. Obviously, Stroman just added. You got Hendricks, Wade Miley, and then the back half of the rotation is definitely an area that needs to be, you know, figured out. What is the plan there? The bullpen, again, kind of needs a little bit of work. I would love to see some sort of bullpen arm brought in to help with the squad, right? The DH seems like it is definitely going to be happening in the NL next year, so an extra bat is probably necessary. Signing Yan Gomes, fantastic signing for the Cubs. Fantastic signing for the Cubs, right? Obviously, Marcus Stroman, we could talk about, you know, all of the in-depth stats, metrics, all that stuff. Marcus Stroman, you know what you're getting. Breaking down the deal, 3 years for $71 million. It's a great spend. Like, that's really the whole breakdown of it. We know what Marcus Stroman is going to give us. He's one of the more reliable pitchers in baseball. He's a ground ball pitcher. I guess that really would be the only worry with the Cubs, because if you look at the Cubs, Nico Horner, is he a shortstop, right? Is he a shortstop? I know we're going to have Nick Madrigal at second. Is Nico Horner a shortstop, or is he a second baseman? Or if we're going to try things out, are we going to try to have Nico Horner get some innings in the outfield? I know there was a couple of times where we did that in the past. Is that a possibility, right? So you've got Schwindel at first. Is he the guy for the future? That's the question there. David Bodie's injured. Doesn't seem like he's going to be ready for the start of the season, so he really won't be there. So then Patrick Wisdom at third. I think he's got a great arm. I think he's got a great glove. I think we're fine with Patrick Wisdom. Nico Horner is a big question mark. So second base, we got Madrigal, Schwindel at first. And then my question mark is Nico Horner. It could work out. It may not work out. So we'll have to wait and see. And that's why I'm kind of bringing up the idea of, do we go out and try to spend on a shortstop? Especially since we're going out and we're spending on Marcus Stroman. That kind of gives me an idea that we're not afraid to spend. We just got to make sure it's the right player. Trevor Story is one of those guys where I don't think he is going to ask for a crazy amount of money. Something that like Correa is going to be asking for, or maybe even Seager. I honestly think we could probably get Story for a little less than what Seager got, and I still think that would be a smart spend. But if we want to get a glove first guy, someone that's out there is someone like an Andrelton Simmons. But the issue with that is I don't think we have the offensive production from the other bats that could support a defensive glove like a Simmons. So that's where I'm kind of worried about the whole shortstop situation. Outfield, again, if Clint Frazier stays healthy and can produce, I think that's a smart signing. I'm not really on board with the Harold Ramirez signing. I just didn't really understand it. Someone like a Michael Hermosillo, I felt like could have completely fit that role just fine. Platoon outfielder, you give him a shot, plays all across the outfield. He has the ability. We've seen it when he was healthy with the Cubs last year. I don't know why we really brought in someone else to replace him. But we have Ian Happ. I need a full season for Ian Happ. I really need him to produce at a full season. Just a full season. Ortega, is he going to do what he did last year? Jason Hayward. And then, you look at the rest of the outfield. We're clearly missing. We're missing a little bit of pop. We're missing some run producers. And I just feel like, that's why I was kind of unsure about that Simmons signing, because it just doesn't make a lot of sense, because we really need players who can produce runs. So that's where this comes in. Obviously some of the bigger names have been signed, have gone to new teams, but if we're looking at infielders and who's available, we're looking at potentially a shortstop. And I feel like that's with the Cubs. I feel like we could go out and sign somebody. These two are still available. I feel like Correa's definitely out of the price range, unless the Cubs really want to go out there and say, we mean business. But then if we're going to spend that kind of money, why didn't we do that at the start of the offseason? So I feel like a Trevor Story is a possibility. I definitely do. I mean, if you look at the other guys, we could go someone, glove first like a Simmons, but I just don't think we have the offensive power in the lineup to support that. And that's why I'm a little unsure about it. Could we go out and look for a Chris Bryant? We could. We definitely could. He can play the outfield as well. But I feel like since we have Patrick Wisdom, and I feel like we've kind of ruined the relationships that we had with Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez, I feel like bringing them back just isn't a likely scenario. And that's why I feel like if we're gonna sign somebody, it might be a shortstop or an outfield bat. Michael Conforto is someone that I would keep my eye on. I definitely like the idea of someone like a Michael Conforto who probably isn't going to require a lot of money. He's a lefty power bat, and I feel like that could work out for us. Could we rekindle with Kyle Schwarber? That's a possibility. Eddie Rosario had a great postseason. You look at some of the other bats too that are low risk. I mean, Conforto and Schwarber kind of fit the needs. Nicholas Castellanos, he's been there before. Could bring him in. So there are good cheap options available. It just depends on what the Cubs are looking for, what they're trying to do here. And if they're trying to compete, which I feel like that's what the whole Marcus Stroman signing is, there's still names out there that we could get. So I like the Stroman signing. This is a smart signing by the Cubs. It makes me think that the Cubs aren't done. It makes me think that clearly something's going on with the Cubs as I'm looking at what Stroman has to offer, which here. So you guys can see it. If you look at his past couple seasons, he did sit out 2020 from opting out due to COVID, but the COVID season, I should say. But you can see, he's going to give us good innings. The only thing that we would be worried about is that he is a ground ball pitcher and not necessarily the best defensively in the infield. But like I'm saying, if we could go out and get a Trevor Story, I think we'd be okay. So I think the Cubs are in business. It may not be this season, but if we get the right pieces, we can build on that. We got some of our young guys, Brendan Davis, a couple other of the prospects, they could come up and help us out too. 2023, potentially 2024 could really turn things around and be good for us. So we might have a 1-year lull, but I'm thinking we're looking pretty good going forward. So that's about it. That's the Marcus Stroman signing. It's looking good. It's looking bright. It makes me think as a Cubs fan, we're not going through a 4 or 5 year period. We're going to be bad. And the NL Central is not a good division. Yes, the Cardinals are decent. Yes, the Brewers have some good pitching, but do the Brewers have good offense? I don't think they're going to do what they did last year offensively. So, like I said, the Pirates aren't getting better. It seems like the Reds are going back to being towards the bottom. So, anything could really happen in the Central. So, if the Cubs make the right moves, things go well, we could be in business. So, I'm liking it. That's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.